Welcome to the Rosary Team podcast.
Today, we are undertaking a pretty massive deep dive.
We really are. We're exploring sacred art and devotion, and what we've got in front of us spans continents, traditions, and really millennia.
And our mission, if you want to call it that, is to navigate this huge visual landscape we found curated in sources like Holy Rosary Team and wikisaints.com.
Right. These platforms, they almost function as a living catalog of faith.
Exactly. And we really want to understand how they're bridging that gap between these ancient Eastern traditions, we're talking specifically Byzantine and Syriac forms, and the global, digital world we live in today.
So the first thing that just jumps right out is the scale. I mean, this isn't just a few images here and there.
Not at all.
When you look at the metrics, we see over 3,200 total photo albums and entries just on WikiSaints. That number alone, it tells you we're looking at something much bigger than an art collection.
It's more like a spiritual encyclopedia.
Yes, that's the perfect way to put it.
And what's really insightful, I think, isn't just the final number, but how they categorize all this material. It immediately tells you what the priorities are, the historical anchors of this whole devotional world.
Okay, so if we look at that breakdown, the saints and the figures, what stands out to you in terms of the ratios, the numbers themselves?
Well, it's clear the goal is to be comprehensive. The male saints category, that's the largest segment, but devotion to the Mother of God is right there in second place.
By a lot, too. Hundreds of unique images.
Hundreds, and that immediately anchors the collection firmly in that traditional, really profound Marian veneration that's shared across, both Western and Eastern rites.
Yeah. And speaking of the Eastern rites, the source material is very explicit about its foundation. I noticed right away these key collections are labeled Axios Icons of Traditional Easter.
Yes, and that is the organizing principle here, and it's a very meaningful choice of words.
What does Axios mean?
Axios is a Greek word. It means worthy or venerable. So by labeling the collections that way, they're defining the art not just by its style, but by the spiritual reverence it represents.
Oh, okay.
And that framework, it covers all the essential figures of the tradition. Our Lord, the Mother of God, angels, apostles, saints, all systematized under that classic Byzantine artistic style.
So it's a commitment not just to cataloging the art, but to actually preserving the theology behind it.
Precisely. And the sources show they're dedicated to diversity within the Eastern tradition, too. It's not just one thing. We see the general Byzantine style, but also specific callouts, like to the Coptic tradition, and a really robust collection for the great feasts.
So they're making sure that this global catalog really reflects that multifaceted history of the Eastern churches.
And that's where you see this amazing blend of the ancient and the global. You mentioned it earlier. We have this example of a Russian icon of the Theotokos of Fatima.
Right. A classic Eastern art-style Russian iconography applied to a Marian devotion, Fatima, which is, relatively modern and known all over the world.
It's a visual translation. The language of the icon, its style, its colors, it all remains traditional, but the subject matter is adaptable. It proves that Eastern sacred art is a living form, not just some.
A museum piece.
Exactly, not a museum piece.
Okay, this is where it gets, for me, really interesting. Let's focus on one of the most specific areas these sources highlight. Amidst all this broad coverage, the material carves out a very clear spotlight for the Syriac Antiochian heritage.
Particularly through the Maronite tradition.
Yes, so why is this specific focus so crucial?
Well, the Maronite Church is such a key expression of the Syriac faith, and it traces its roots all the way back to the ancient See of Antioch. So by dedicating specific resources, they mentioned specialized sites like Maronite Store and a whole collection on WikiSaints for Antiochian, Syriac, Maronite Church, beloved iconography, and saints. They're honoring one of the world's most enduring Christian traditions.
That dedicated Maronite collection, with dozens of unique photos, it feels like a real commitment to preservation. It ties us directly to the cradle of this ancient faith.
Yeah, and it brings the specific heroes of that heritage right to the forefront. You see these iconic figures like Saint Charbel Makhlouf and Saint Rafqa.
And Saint Rafqa is described as the patron saint against bodily ills and sickness.
These aren't abstract figures, They are deeply personal patron saints whose veneration connects the diaspora, people all over the world, right back to their spiritual homeland.
What's so fascinating is how these modern icons, they reach back even further than the saints themselves, all the way to the language of Christ.
Yeah.
I noticed they included in our Lord's Prayer in Syriac Aramaic wood circular icon.
And that might be the deepest connection the sources offer. Aramaic is the historical language of the faith.
The language Jesus spoke.
The language he spoke. So to present the core prayer of Christianity in its original linguistic context, preserved through the Syriac tradition and displayed on a physical icon, it ties a modern devotee directly to the first century.
It's a powerful statement about historical continuity.
It is. It just grounds the entire catalog in this undeniable history.
And while the focus on Eastern traditions is specific, you also see those foundational collections that unify everyone, like the section for the Holy Family, which shows that core unit is central no matter the artistic style.
It's the common language, isn't it?
It is. Now, while we are exploring these rich traditions and their profound roots, just remember that you can explore all of these fascinating artifacts, the deep context we are discussing. If you want to see the incredible scope of these collections, we encourage you to visit http.rosaryteam.com.
So picking up on that theme of continuity, how does this massive catalog rooted in Byzantine and Syriac history prove that tradition is still a living thing?
Well, it proves it by immediately embracing the modern and the recently recognized.
That's right. The collection incorporates figures who, couldn't have existed even a generation ago, like Blessed Carlo Acutis.
He's explicitly identified as the first millennial saint and the millennial patron saint of the internet.
I mean, that is tradition adapting immediately to contemporary reality.
It's a pretty remarkable cultural pivot going from icons carved in wood centuries ago to recognizing a saint who used social media and computers to share his faith.
And it's not just tech. The collections are also immediate in how they document heroic virtue. You have the heroic Ulma family beatified right alongside universally known figures like Saint Padre Pio or the Mexican martyr Saint Jose Luis Sanchez del Rio.
Viva Cristo Rey.
Exactly. It just demonstrates the breadth of modern sanctity from, digital apostles to family martyrs.
So how does the art itself keep up with this rapidly expanding landscape of devotion? Are they just printing these new images on paper, or?
Not at all, and this is key to the global distribution. Material innovation is a huge part of it.
Okay.
So while the catalogs keep traditional mediums like wood plaque icons and ceramic tile icons, they heavily use modern manufacturing. We see items made on brushed aluminum and as premium matte paper posters with hanger.
That makes perfect sense. An aluminum icon is much, much easier to ship across the ocean than a fragile ceramic tile.
Exactly right. This is the global marketplace of devotion in action. The Holy Rosary Team, they state clearly that they ship to destinations worldwide.
And the list of supported countries is, well, it's impressive. 24 different options, including Japan, Israel, South Korea, even the United Arab Emirates.
It shows that this material isn't confined to any single geographical or cultural block. It is truly massively accessible on a global scale.
That worldwide scope, it raises a question for me about unity. If you have such deep, specific traditions, Byzantine, Syriac, Coptic, all reaching out globally, what holds it all together?
The sources address that very clearly. They include the Pope Leo IV collection, and they reference the role of the papacy. It ties directly back to a foundational text of the Second Vatican Council, Lumen Gentium.
For those of us who might not be familiar, what is Lumen Gentium?
It's one of the principal documents of Vatican II. And the specific quote they use says that the Roman pontiff, as the successor of Peter, is the perpetual and visible principle and foundation of unity of both the bishops and of the faithful.
So it's an explicit acknowledgement that while these Eastern traditions are distinct and rich, they share a common, visible center.
Yes, that serves as the foundation upon which all these diverse devotions can rest.
So to kind of synthesize what we've explored today, this deep dive into these catalogs shows us that sacred art is so far from static.
Oh, absolutely. It's profoundly rooted in historical traditions, from the deep Syriac, Antiochian heritage to the Byzantine model, yet it's constantly evolving.
Adopting modern materials like aluminum, celebrating contemporary figures like Blessed Carlo Acutis.
I think the crucial takeaway is that this wealth of tradition is accessible globally today. It bridges time and distance. The art and the stories of the saints are being documented and shared using 21st century tools.
Ensuring the legacy of the past informs the faith of the present.
Well said.
And that leads to a final thought for you, the listener.
Yeah.
The sheer quantity we talked about at the start, over 3,200 entries, it should really prompt us to consider just how many stories of faith, known and unknown, are contained within these very traditions. Every single photo, every single saint represents a unique life and a unique relationship with the divine that we now have the opportunity to explore.
A powerful thought to end on.
If this conversation sparked your curiosity and you want to delve into the full depth of these collections and resources, make sure to visit http.rosaryteam.com.
Thank you for listening to the Rosary Team podcast.